So what does that mean for indie artists? You can use AI as a tool. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But like, is the AI gonna be so good that you'll never need the fan will never want a connection with a real human artist? Is the question, and I just think that's never gonna happen. I personally think there's no way AI can fully replace what a human being can do, but maybe that's just my take, man. Maybe, what do you think, Chris?
I think Spotify is going to turn into vinyl.
It's all business, no love to the competition. Let that chopper hit him, sit him down, swap his spirit. Die now, I'ma think about it later. I'ma think about it never. All I think about is paper.
Hey everyone, this is Michael Walker coming at you with our first ever episode of The Artist Economy. This is going to be a lot of fun. So the Modern Musician Show this week in music, AI, and the future. The mission of this podcast is every week, as you're probably aware, if you're an artist, something's happening that's changing what it means to be an artist. The technology is evolving quickly. There's a new AI model drop. There's a new lawsuit that settles. A kid on TikTok, breaks a song that nobody saw coming. And the issue is that most of us just keeping tabs on what's happening is moving so fast. It's hard to kind of have a finger on the pulse. And so that's why we're here right now. And so there's 4 of us every week. They're going to be discussing the stories that actually matter for independent artists and what we do about them, based on our vantage points. So welcome to episode number 1. Because it's our first ever episode, I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then we're just going to dive right in. So my name is Michael Walker. I'm the founder of Modern Musician and Street Team. I toured for a decade with my band Paradise Fears. Now we build tools that empower artists to grow and connect with their fan base. And so I'll bring product, business, strategy lens to the conversations. We've got Chris Saunders, who's an operator. He's got a project called Professor Epic, and he's got 15 years of experience inside the biggest launches in digital marketing. I met him when I connected with my mentor, Jeff Walker, and he was the person who onboarded me to Jeff's world. I was his first ever call that he took when he met Jeff. So he is going to be bringing the sales experience, funnels, and money lens to the equation. Soul Gold is an artist. He's an incredible artist. He was actually our Artist of the Year 2026 for Modern Musician. So he's a working artist in the middle of his own breakout. He's the youngest of us on the panel, and he's bringing some ground truth about what's landing on the ground with him and his audience right now. And we've got Devin Mooers. So Devin is aka the conscience. We're as we do this podcast, we're planning on having rotating guests as well. But Devin, one thing I appreciate about him is his eye towards things like intentionality, the ethics, the craft, the consciousness lens. When AI hype needs a counterweight, I think that it's a really important angle to bring as well. So that's a quick introduction. Hopefully I didn't completely botch those and I didn't speak out of hand for each of you, but I'm really excited to connect with all of you. There's a reason that I think the 4 of us are here right now, and so I'm looking forward to connecting more and kicking things off for our first ever podcast. Let's go.
I can't wait to argue with you, Soul.
You know what? This whole time I was thinking, who's the one person I'd love to argue with?
Mm-hmm. I'm
Professor F.
That's right.
Okay, here we go. So,
Chris, I got a bone to pick with you, Chris.
Can't wait until we all hate each other.
Wait.
This is the point of this. Create mortal enemies.
Yep.
I'm going to be the guy that says, the world doesn't end with AI. The world begins with AI. And then Chris can be like, no, man, we're all headed for disaster.
I'm just going to tell it how it is, man. I'm just going to tell it how it is.
Okay, so let's talk through the week that was and what we got on the docket for today. So we're going to talk through a gambler who got caught Spotify's #1 song cheating. And we're talking about prediction markets meet streaming fraud. Suno, $5.4 billion summer, and the ruling that prices your catalog. We're going to do a deep dive into the stolen music search engine. So if you are an artist and you were like, is my music being used to train AI? Well, that's what we're going to have a discussion about. Blue Dot Fever, The AI that got export controlled. Is AI getting too powerful? Should the government control it? UMG buying the indie playbook. And then we're going to do a lightning round. So let's open things up here with the first story. So a gambler got caught. Spotify's #1 song cheating. So what happened is Malcolm Todd's Earrings hit #1 on Spotify's global daily chart with 4.165 million streams. And a prediction market trader flagged a statistically impossible 70% one-day U.S. spike. Odds that he put in 1 in 77 octillion. And so Spotify confirmed fraud, stripped 500,000 streams, dropping it to #4. And there's no suggestion that Todd's team was involved. Spotify is demanding Kalshi Polymarket remove its logos. And really why this matters is that now chart positions have real betting markets, real money that's going into predicting these markets. And that creates a financial incentive for strangers to use bot farms. And artists could be at the risk of getting collateral damage or falsely accused when the fraud hammer swings. So let's open it up. Basically, the question I want to pose to us is, should betting on music charts be banned? Or is this actually a blessing in disguise, that it's actually one of the best fraud auditing systems that the industry's ever had? What are our thoughts?
Maybe this is me being naive, but it's a little shocking to me that Spotify doesn't have internal algorithms that are able to catch a 1 in 77 octillion chance of this thing happening.
Right.
That's a pretty big.
I mean, I know that Spotify somewhat recently, they put all of the pressure on detecting fraud. Like they basically said, hey, it's not our problem anymore. It's all of the distributors. So now it's like DistroKid and TuneCore and all the distributors, like they're basically putting the responsibility on them to self-police so that Spotify is not liable for detecting fraud. I guess, yeah, the question is, should betting on music charts be banned? Like, is it having a prediction market, and having that, have you guys seen any of the prediction markets? Like, what's the worldwide one that's starting to gain steam? Polymarket?
Polymarket and Kalshi are the two biggest ones, right? I think, I hope it doesn't get banned for a couple of reasons. Mainly the recording, or mainly the marketing aspect of it. I think I didn't even know who necessarily Malcolm Todd was until this story broke. And this is a way for people who are fans, if it were done, say, legally, right? And it wasn't sort of gamed with the system, right? If they actually had a good fraud detection way of knowing whether or not streams are bought. I love the idea that somebody could have a song and then all their fans want to share that song so they can actually win a bet that their artist is going to get on the top 100, or their artist is going to have the most streams, or their artist is going to have an album released this year. And it also makes me, especially if I'm betting on my artist, wanting, knowing that they're going to release an album, makes me want to get closer to that artist. It makes me want to actually get to the next level, the next tier of connection, because then I could get some sort of insider information to make sure that I'm making the right bets on that artist.
Super interesting. Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, Chris, is that actually having that type of incentive is a great way to build more engagement and connection, from a fan standpoint as well.
So none of the revenue of these betting markets are actually coming to the artists, right? And that they're all just pure speculation. So, I mean, you brought up the interesting point, Chris, like if there's a way to, I mean, I'm not a betting man myself, but if I really wanted to support an artist and bet on their career, I might do it in a more direct way that supported their art, that financed something, that I was not trying to like bet against somebody that they're going to, succeed or fail.
Hedge bets on someone, or like this artist's gonna take the Diddy. Wait, who put all the hedge bets on Diddy right before the news broke?
So,
oh, gosh. One thing that comes up that's really interesting is this quote: "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Right, and I think to a larger extent than most people are aware, the music game has been getting gamed for a long time by people with a lot of money, breaking songs on radio, or major record labels breaking songs that aren't necessarily like songs that people even enjoy sometimes. There's this programming or entrainment where just having spins or loops can literally enforce and create something to catch on. So it is interesting thinking about the cause and effect of correlation. Like if there is like a betting market, if a bunch of people bet on a song and it gains traction or trend, it could actually lead to it. It wouldn't have been successful without it, but because we have that prediction, are able to kind of game the market. Get into like minority report kind of angle here. Sol, what's your take on this?
Honestly, like I probably got an entire different way of looking at this. But what I've gathered from what I heard from Chris especially is that there might be a strategy here. And I feel kind of bad saying this because it's not entirely like the common way approach, but what if there was a competition that you ran with, because I know Spotify has this thing at the end of the year or whatever, like your Spotify Wrap. And if the artist shows up as your number one, whatever, you can take a screenshot of that. And there could be something cool like the artist could do for that fan, could do for. And like what that incentivizes is stream my music 24/7, put it 3 computers lined up, start a whole farm for me. And I'm just like, well, I'll give you this sweet incentive for a retreat or something with me. And all you got to do is be at the number one. I got to be like the artist that's number one on your Spotify Wrap. That's crazy. It's like, how many people would do that?
I love that idea. That's so interesting. I mean, every algorithm eventually creates people trying to game it, right? This is how the systems work out there. And we have to look at what are they trying to reward and incentivize at Spotify. They're trying to reward streams. And so what are people going to do? They're going to game the idea of streams, right? But I think that, what if Spotify decided instead that they weren't going to reward, say, streams, but they were going to reward, say, repeat listeners or something like that instead of total plays? How would that change the music industry? So much of music is influenced by the platforms right now, by the medium under which we're having to produce our music and get it out to people. And so because of that, we're going to get people like this gaming the system, betting on it and trying to get 500,000 streams extra just so they can win a gambling market, right? It's the whole thing is set up improperly for artists.
So interesting. So we're going to have to move on if we want to have any chance feeding through more of our stories. But something very, very interesting here that I think we're tapping into is sort of what's the incentive structure, and how do we set a good North Star, like a metric, to actually optimize for? So yeah, I think this is a really interesting story because in some ways, this might be one of the best fraud detection systems that Spotify is getting for free because they're getting quality control, because the external market is very good at if money's on the line, people suddenly become they care a lot. If you want to see what someone cares about or what they value, see where they're spending their money. People vote with their dollars. So that is interesting that the fraud team, in this case, it seems like they missed what one motivated gambler caught in a spreadsheet. So really interesting. All right, moving on to our next story. Suno, $5.4 billion summer, while the ruling that prices your catalog looms. So Suno, they raised $400 million as Series D at a $5.4 billion valuation on June 3rd, more than doubling its valuation in 7 months. They have 2 million paid subscribers now, probably more than that now, roughly at a $300 million revenue pace. The next day, artists flew a Say No to Suno banner plane over an AI investor summit. Sony versus Suno gets its summary judgment hearing this month. It's the first time that a federal judge rules directly on whether training AI on copyrighted recordings is fair use. Labels moved to add 61,026 recordings to the case. Meanwhile, the majors are already getting settled elsewhere. Warner is collaborating with Suno, UMG with Udio. So poor Sony is on the outside looking in, saying this is not okay. 2 license relaunches are coming up with opposite philosophies. Udio's Walled Garden fan remixes versus Suno's Open Generator. So why artists should care? Basically, this ruling is going to set the price of everyone's catalog. Fair use, wins, and indie catalogs with free training fuel with zero recourse. Labels win and licensing market emerges, but the majors have negotiated their deals first. So Yeah, let's open this up to the table. I guess the question here is, are indie artists actually better off if Suno loses here, in terms of like a lawsuit? And what would a licensing market with rates set by the majors pay indies anyways? So curious to hear your guys' feedback on this one. Oh, it's kind of the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, I can kick it off, but I would love to respond to someone who's an artist.
You know what, man? You know what? As much
I want to
as
start with Soul's take on this and Devin's take on this. I think you guys have very interesting takes.
Listen, like in the beginning, I'll just be honest with you. In the beginning, I was really afraid of AI. But now I'm starting to like open up and see, where we're going, where we're headed. But this is the thing, like with all the major labels, if they have a deal with the other big AI, music companies, what's going to happen is, like, how can you beat that when some of the best catalogs signed to some of the biggest record labels partner with AI and their modeling? Now, really, the AI is going to be trained really well, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And
it already is, but I guess
it already is. They just did it without consent or recompense.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for indie artists? You can use AI as a tool, I mean, that's the biggest thing. But like, is the AI gonna be so good that you'll never need the fan will never want a connection with a real human artist? Is the question. And I just think that's never gonna happen. I personally think there's no way AI can fully replace what a human being can do. But maybe that's just my take, man. Maybe. What do you think, Chris?
I think Spotify is going to turn into vinyl. So let me explain that. Essentially, people have validated Suno. $400 million was brought in here, right? So even if they lose the lawsuit to Sony, which they very well might, they'll be able to survive this. They will still be around. They're going to pay some money. They're going to get into some sort of licensing deal, and they'll still be able to make what they're doing. And they're going to continue making music off the backs of artists that they stole from, right? Now, how much money they can pay to be able to continue doing that is all we're debating here. We're not debating whether or not this is going away. It's going to continue. Right?
Yeah.
There's $5.4 billion worth of valuation and a huge amount of money invested. So they're not going to let it fail. And I have a question for you. What if they're shifting the music from a place to consume music, but actually shifting it to a place to create music, right? What if now they decide, well, why wouldn't they turn it into a place to consume music, right? So they're already doing this, right? With their Suno has like kind of their version of Reels where you can post music that was created and people consume it. But there is a huge amount of people like Spotify. Okay, Spotify is kind of like, oh, we don't want AI music, or we want to be able to detect AI music. We're going to partner with AI and we're going to do remixes and we're going to do this of real artists, right? But there's a huge population of people that want the AI music, like the AI music, and will actually listen to it. So why wouldn't Suno take that? And then what if they started paying, instead of fractions of penny on a dollar for the streams, what if for an artist who used it, they paid way more because they have way more money, way more opportunity to give that money directly to the AI artist or the person who's actually creating it? They're going to shift the economy, and they might actually start taking on Spotify in a real way by making it a platform that people can go and actually engage with the music by creating it and hearing really cool stuff that was never made before. So that's going to take some market share away from places like Spotify, which, yes, is way bigger right now. But I think in the future, you're going to see that Spotify will be like for hipsters. It'll be like vinyl.
Interesting. Devin, what's your take on all of this?
Oh man, so many takes. Trying to think how to distill it all down. I guess my personal story around this personal experience with Spotify and AI generated music is that, I don't know, this is probably 6 months ago, or within the past year. I was listening to a jazz playlist. I'm a jazz saxophonist by background. I've been playing jazz for many years, and And so I started hearing this music come on. I'm like, what? This sounds like weird and fake. And then I drill into the profile and realize like, oh, this is just some AI artist that tried to make some jazz cover. And I can just tell from the raw sound of it, also being a recording engineer, that it's like obviously fake. And it irked me like so hardcore. I blocked the artist. I was like, shut off Spotify. Like, this drives me crazy. Like, I want jazz. I want humans playing jazz, right? If I'm listening to jazz, for me, music is a deeply human experience of interrelationship between humans, sharing soul, sharing memory, sharing experiences, sharing hopes, dreams for the world, struggles. Like, I was a sort of early experimenter with Midjourney, the AI art generation platform, and I used it for my first couple album art pieces for singles I released. And then I quickly realized like, this doesn't fit my world and my consciousness and what I want to do with my art. And I think there's a lot of artists who are making that same decision, and there's a lot of people who don't care. They're just, I'm happy to listen to AI music. I can't tell the difference, or it doesn't matter to me, even if I could. And I'm happy that I can experiment and mash up like weird genres and create stuff that just no human in their right mind would make or is making. And like, it gets weird when I think about like, if my catalog someday is being fed into these engines, like, what does that mean? If somebody's like, I'm going to make a Devin Mooers, remix of whatever, version, I'm like, yeah. Ultimately, I don't think I think we're going to see a major resurgence of like in-person events, deep connection with artists. I mean, that's like what I do every day with my work on Street Team, is trying to build a platform where artists can connect deeply with their fans in a way that you just can't get on streaming platforms. And you certainly can't get through Suno and AI generated music. And that's like my world. And so when I hear this, I'm like, y'all do your thing with Suno. Like, that's not my world. I'm going to be here making my cabin, mythic alternative folk, and trying to share it with people who that's their world. And that's what they care about. And they want to have that kind of like, this person, spent 30 years developing their craft, like learning how to play all these things and put it together into this world. And so that's my angle on this.
But what if they started paying you for those remixes? Like, what if it was pretty financially successful? Like, someone does a remix that's under your name and you got not only credit, but you also wound up making money from it, and you didn't have to do anything. It was just like a strong financial incentive. And what if that wound up being significantly more money than what you made off of, say, Spotify streams? Would that change anything for you as an artist?
I think it probably depends on like how transparent that is. If it's like, if somebody's just without my consent generating a Devin Mooers remix of whatever popular song in my style, and saying like, hey, look, this is, and they literally put my name on it. I don't know the legality of doing that kind of stuff. But it's a super interesting question. I've honestly never thought about it. And so I'm going to have to chew on that one. And yeah.
I think a lot of artists will start taking that cash. And that's the thing that is what, for me, is where is the incentive structure going to be, right? And I think Suno's trying to shift the game to being like, everyone can be a musician. We can all make music now, right? And the value of like creating music used to be very, 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 very high because it took years and many, many hours to create skill. But now it's like, oh, I can go create something. And if I have music inside of me that I want to get out, it's really simple for me to start moving the needle on creating something. Now, am I going to create something that is perfect right off the bat? No, but I can see how someone who's got maybe the artistry, similar way like DJs back in the day, or people like, Daft Punk or something like that, would take a sample and then expand it as something completely different. I can see real artists doing that kind of thing with AI. And I think if they start monetizing that and incentivizing artists in that way, we're going to see the whole industry shift hugely in a way that we've never seen before, because people are going to make money off of it.
Mm-hmm. This is all super interesting. So
is it all about the money, Chris? Huh?
I'm not all about money, man. I'm just saying how it is.
Aren't you a real artist? Huh?
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I want to be real, and I would love to have the luxury of not needing to make all that money from my art. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of starving artists out there that'll take that check.
Yeah.
Those are the fake
here's
ones.
here's my spicy take on this one. So, um, I hear where Devin's coming from, and honestly, I feel like that angle is probably most in tune with the majority of indie artists that I've connected with as it relates to AI. Is like sort of a uncertainty or fear, or sort of this feeling of like something being taken from us or stolen, or like this is a, it's not human, it's not authentic, it's not real. It devalues the hard work and decades of experience I've got into it, and there's something that's very unreal about it. And it's a perspective that I really understand and I respect. And I think the other angle that I think maybe isn't fully appreciated by a lot of indies is, and certainly is like, something that's come up in discussions like these around, AI as a tool, as opposed to it replacing artists. Like, AI is not going to replace artists, but artists using AI are going to replace other artists. And certainly there's been a lot of examples of technology that in the time has felt like it maybe delegitimizes the authenticity of art. Like the analog digital transition was a big one where people were like, that's not real music, now it's all digital. And now, of course, that seems silly in hindsight. Drums, when people had drum machines, that was another one where like, this is gonna be it for drummers. And it's like, well, now it's like, no, it's just a tool. Now I think you could take the case that AI is different because it's more agentic, and you can literally have an AI, you just like press a button and it creates a whole song. It's just an entirely new league compared to like a tool in the past. But my prediction is that it's in order to stay competitive in a market, which is what we're in. Like it's an art economy. It is a market, and what in markets there's supply and demand, and there's value. Art is a subjective kind of value. So I think there is a case, and I totally agree with Devin's take that we're going to see a trend towards more in-person, authentic, community-based experiences, because all of us are sort of be like, who am I? Who am I? And we're going to have the ability to create in a way that just wasn't possible in the past. But I'm optimistic on AI as a tool, and I think what matters is actually our heart or our soul and us communicating. And I think it is possible to use AI. I don't think the tool is quite there yet. I think that right now, to Chris's point, the industry is broken in terms of economics for artists. Like Spotify is basically in bed with major record labels, and the artist is getting a very small percentage of their artwork and the revenue that they've essentially been at the source of creating. So I think that for a long time, musicians haven't necessarily had the compensation that I think that they deserve, because they just aren't, at least in the past, they haven't been business people. They haven't known how to negotiate. It's like, I just want to go into a cave and create artwork, and I don't care about money. But then it's like, oh, cool. Well, we'll take all that money from you. So I think that there's already a core issue. But I think that Suno right now in the short term is making it even worse. Like I think already, artists are getting paid very little because the streaming economics are broken. But also, Suno, like $0 right now are going to the indie artists at all. So like I think from like a model perspective, unless something changes and Suno creates some kind of economy where they have like, if they try to do what Street Team's doing, basically, if they honestly, this is why I feel like a partnership between a platform like Street Team and Suno. If I was Suno, I would be looking at that, being like, how do we counterbalance this horrible PR that we have around like cutting down the artist? How do we actually help empower them to build communities and to do what matters, which I think is connecting? So if I was Suno, I'd be really looking and investing into like, how do we solve that issue? I don't know if they are right now. It certainly seems like they're going like what I've seen recently is like we're getting in bed with major record labels. We're figuring out what's their price to basically use their catalog. And I do think indie artists are going to benefit from it because it's going to level the playing field. And anyone, now you don't need a major record label budget to record a high quality album. I think there's going to be a lot of indies and people who are music lovers who have never learned how to play an instrument. They're going to be able to create some magnificent works of art in a way that's beautiful. But I think it's going to level the playing field. I think it's going to make it hard. It's going to remove some of the power structures that major record labels have had. It's going to help decentralize art as a whole. But there needs to be an emerging system or a platform that helps artists actually build real relationships with their fans and monetize them. If only there was, you know, some sort of platform or organization that we're all a part of. That's our mission and purpose. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that there's a lot there for Suno. They have such an opportunity to flip the script on the industry and work with artists rather than against them. And whether they're going to do that is up in the air, but I would love to see Suno take Spotify out, because I don't like Spotify and I don't like record companies and I don't like what they've done for artists, because nobody's ever given a crap about artists and they've always stolen from them. And Suno, you have an opportunity once you settle this lawsuit to then really empower artists and actually build something that is symbiotic and to cut out all the middleman. Will they do it? I don't know. Probably not. But if they did, wow, how awesome would it be? And how could they flip the script on that?
So good. Well, yeah, let's continue on to our next story. So this is a great one that is tied into the conversation we just had. So there's a stolen music search engine. If you're curious about, is my music being used to train AI models with or without my consent, you can search yourself live. So on June 15th, the Atlantic's AI Watchdog project published 4 searchable databases covering 20 million songs in the AI training orbits of Suno, Udio, and Google Lyria. The biggest, Leon's 12.3 million tracks scraped from YouTube, 91 years of audio. Artists started to search. They found themselves. One Berlin musician found 151 of his songs. Producer found essentially our entire catalog. What we found is it wasn't just Taylor Swift and the Beatles, but just artists like you and me, indie artists, bedroom producers with 200 monthly listeners, getting added to this training data. And until the lawsuits get resolved, there's no mechanism to fight back. So I thought it might be fun for us to actually search our own catalog live on this episode. If we'd like to, Devin, I know you've got your new album that just came out recently. I'm curious if that's being scraped or used in AI.
Drum roll, it's not.
Okay. So we already did some. So just for showing like an example of it, or have you actually checked or not yet?
Yeah, no, I checked. I mean, I also don't know when this database was put together and like when the actual scraping was done. My album's only been out for 7 months or something, so.
There you go. That's this is time for you to put all the watermarks on your album and make sure it can't be used. So for anyone that's watching this right now who's an artist who's interested in basically seeing is their music being used to train AI, you can go to this website here, the atlantic.com/category/AI-watchdog, and type in your name. And I did this before hopping on the call, and I was actually had kind of mixed feelings. So I typed in Paradise Fears, which is the name of my band, and a lot of our songs are being used in the data set. 88 results in 3 data sets. Also, I was like, holy cow, I forgot that we released this many songs. But yeah, it gave me some mixed feelings. And I would consider myself like fairly AI optimistic. But it does kind of beg the question, is this okay? Is it fair use? Like, is it okay for our music without our consent to be used to train a model and then monetized? Is it possible to police that? Are we going to be shooting ourselves in the foot if we do that? Are we going to lose competitive advantage versus other? I mean, the big one is like China is like, we don't want to lose to China with AI. Yeah, maybe. And also, like, how does this affect our own music careers as indie artists? Is this theft or is this exposure? Is this actually something that could benefit us as artists if the model actually paid us a royalty? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
Well, the thing here is, what if there was a way, like Chris was saying, to get compensated when they use our name directly? And maybe they don't use our name directly, but the generation of that audio would pop up the songs or whatever it was modeled by. And honestly, probably would be like not just a couple songs. I have a feeling that when the AI is generating a song, it's probably using hundreds of songs in little bits pieces. But it would be nice for them to show, okay, here are the songs that this track was modeled by or whatever, and have some form of compensation, obviously. Because I like, honestly, like having the AI being trained really well with some of the best art in the world. To me, in and of itself is not a bad idea. It's just when people don't feel appreciated and compensated for their art, that's when I feel like it starts to get a little messy. And how do you do that in a way that's sustainable? 100 people coming back for their pay. I'm not sure if Suno could pay that. I'm not sure what's fair. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that so far.
Cool. Well, Devin, I know you're going to be hopping out here in a second. Maybe you want to share your take on this one before you bounce.
Yeah, it's kind of my uninformed understanding, but I believe that large language models are a total black box. That once they're trained, they produce a gigantic set of numeric weights, billions, sometimes even more than that. And when you run it and you put a sequence of inputs in it, you can't tell where that training came from.
Yeah.
And the only way that I could see that working is if someone's like, I want to make a song in the style of whatever artist, right? And then right. Specifically that it's reaching into a specific region of the weights, which of course are going to be like informed by many other songs that the model has ingested, as it were. That's a bummer of a word for listening to music, but I don't really know how that attribution process can work in a fair way unless it's an explicit in the style of X artist. If that were the case, then like that'd be awesome if there was some kind of like direct royalty structure. But if somebody's just saying, make me a thing in this specific genre, and it's pulling from like 17 different artists who defined that genre, like how are you gonna? I don't understand how that can be done in an equitable way because of the structure of these language models.
Right. I think that's a really important point. It's just the actual logistics of like, is it even possible, or how do you determine that? The same way that all of us, have our influences from childhood, but imagine like before we released a song, we had to write down on a paper, like, hey, here's all of the artists that I grew up listening to, and I listened to this song here and this song when our brain combined all of it.
This song was 17% due to this, due to this song I heard, this Pink Floyd song I heard when I was a kid, and it's like,
well, 5%, yeah.
I think the official the word that's used for this work of trying to interpret what's happening underneath the hood is interpretability, for AI models. And there's a lot of smart people trying to figure this out and making some good progress in terms of like trying to understand why models behave the way that they do. One interesting thing that might be relevant here is a study that I saw Anthropic release about. They found there's a particular cluster of neurons, if you could call it that, like of the AI model that they found correlated to like a bridge. It was like a famous bridge, and they had fun where they realized they could like poke at that specific neural arrangement, and it would always turn everything into like a bridge, or it would kind of like bring things back to the bridge. So I wonder if there's something there where, imagine if they had to go through some sort of where you could type in your artist name and just see like what parts of the neural net like light up when you say a specific artist name. And then if you could somehow attribute and say, hey, when this part of the neural net lights up, we're gonna try to use that to do some of the dispersals. I wonder. It's a complicated problem. I'm glad there's a lot of very smart people debating about this. Even if it's fair use, like should we be able to do this, or should they just be able to create this and create their own thing? I guess that's another question too for the table is like, how do we feel about fair use for these types of models, and what would that look like in order to for artists to feel compensated?
Well, I think that the question I would have around that is music and art kind of the only industry that is making a fuss about this? because if we look at all of the other science that has been done over the course of human history to benefit humanity, all the mathematics, right? Everything that's kind of built into, because AI is not just scraping music, it's not just scraping art, it's scraping everything, all of the human knowledge, all of the human wisdom, all of the writing that's ever been done, all of it has been put into it. It's the wealth of human ingenuity and intelligence that has been brought into this model, or into the models that are being created. And where else are people being so concerned about ownership, right? So are we really concerned that, we don't hear people that are representing, say, Einstein's estate saying, hey, the theory of relativity was Einstein's, and because it benefited humanity and it built out all of these amazing things in the world. And we know the impact of those sort of discoveries now, and AI is only going to build upon those discoveries and make them better and enhance science and medicine and all these other areas. So we kind of see that as a greater good, I think, in many ways. But when it comes to art and when it comes to music, we take this weird line, and a lot of artists take this weird line where it's like, that's me, that's mine. It's very personal. It's not about humanity. It's my thing. I created it. So don't take it away from me. And I think that is a bit, I don't know. Do we want to call it selfish or ego-driven by artists? I'm just telling you, I don't know how artists
say that we're all selfish and we have a massive ego.
I don't know. Most artists tend to believe what they do is super important, and that's great. It is important for them and for their impact and for their artists, but for the greater humanity that AI is being used for, does humanity deserve access to that in order to be able to create something that will benefit the rest of humanity at a huge level? And I think if we were to create a model that didn't include the humanity of art and music and all these other things that make us human, we might develop something much, much more scary and much, much more toxic than we want in an AI model that's super intelligent.
Ooh. Man, that last part there, just like, whoo, like I think my goosebumps like perked up a little bit there. Like, we better, we got to create a good value-based data set. And if we leave out art, how would humanity, what would humanity look like without any art? Seems like a dark place. I don't want a model that doesn't have art. Let's continue to our next story here. So since we're running a little bit late, I'm gonna actually skip this one. We're gonna go to another spicy one. So the U.S. government export controlled the AI that edits this show.
Are we skipping the Blue Dot Fever?
I was planning on it. Yeah, do you want to come back to this? No,
the next one.
I'm just saying, I have so many opinions on this. I think this is so important. And I think we should absolutely be talking about Blue Dot Fever, because I've been waiting for a long time to talk about Ticketmaster and live.
This is like the whole reason you hopped on here. Blue Dot. All right, so we'll skip that one for later. And this is just for you, Chris. We're gonna dive into this one. So Blue Dot Fever. The touring ladder is collapsing from both ends. Fans coined Blue Dot Fever for 2026 cancellation wave after spotting seas of unsold seats on Ticketmaster maps. Meghan Trainor, Zayn, Post Malone, the Pussycat Dolls all pulled or trimmed their tours, citing personal reasons, quote unquote. Rolling Stone's numbers on the Indie tour, or the Indie tier, rooms under 750 cap averaged just 278 tickets per show in 2025, down from 299 2 years earlier at sub $35 tickets. Fixed costs aren't scaling down. The industry's answer is residencies and stadium consolidation, which skips the club tier entirely. The rungs of that indie artists climb are being removed. And so why artists should care? The traditional, quote unquote, grind the club circuit until you graduate path assumed the middle of the market exists. It's thinning out while both ends boom. Interesting. So the question to pose here to the table is, anticipation. Is the developing artist tour dead as a business model? What replaces it? Residencies, live streams, house shows, superfan campaigns? Where do we replace that middle of the road?
I believe this is all because of Taylor Swift. So Eras tour
Mic drop.
made
We
$2
end the
billion.
podcast. Come back next week.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift will be our fourth guest, our rotating member.
Look, I blame Taylor Swift for this because, not just her, but like the Eras tour did $2 billion, right? And Ticketmaster, Live Nation, which are the same company, Live Entertainment Group, they basically own all the venues, they own the distribution, they own the software, right? So they develop all the tours. And so what you're talking about, this middle ground, this middle thing, that's where they make all their money. And so people are wondering, why is this blue dot thing even happening? Because Live Nation and Ticketmaster are wanting to create every single tour like the Eras tour, which was super duper profitable and the most profitable tour of all time. So now what they do is they exploit their super fans. And what happens is the pre-sales, the people who opt in, the people closest to the artist, they gouge them at the highest level for ticket sales. I have had this happen as a avid concert goer, happen to me a few times, and I've now shifted my behavior because of it. And this is what you're noticing is all these, like I booked a Missy Elliott concert when she was touring because she never tours, and I was stoked to see it. And my girlfriend's a huge Missy Elliott fan. So I remember spending like $500 when they first dropped to get tickets in a good spot in a big stadium. And then as the concert actually approached in the month before, there was way too many seats they hadn't sold. And so what did they do? They start dropping prices. So all the people who waited got tickets for half the price of what I wound up paying. And that starts to stick in people's craw. It really does bother a fan. So now what you're seeing is all these people realize like, oh, I'm just going to wait. This happened to me with 9 Inch Nails. This happened to me with Cardi B. This happened to me with Papa Roach. All right, which is one of the best shows this year, by the way. Go see Papa Roach if they're on tour. But I'll tell you, there's so many concerts out there that are now last minute Facebook selling their tickets at lower prices because they're gouging their fans on the front end because they're trying to do what Taylor Swift happened in her tour. And it doesn't work for every artist. It just doesn't. It worked for her because of her connection to her fans, right? And it does work for some artists because they have this amazing connection if they sell out, but it doesn't work for every single artist. And the thing is you're training people now to no longer book up front. So that's going to change the entire state concert economy, because if they don't sell out up front on the pre-sales and the day they drop, well, that means all the investors, all the people who are planning out the tour are going to have to make adjustments. You hear about Post Malone and Jelly Roll. Their tour didn't sell well. And so now they're having to make adjustments and shift things and move stadium. It's like there's a problem here for the artists because they're taking on way more risk. And all the investors and the companies are like, well, we don't know if you're going to sell out this big stadium, so we have to make some adjustments. So again, I think if you're an artist, you've got to increase the connection with your people, and that middle is going away. So we're going to have super big stadium acts that can actually sell out those stadiums, and we're going to have micro artists that are doing clubs of 100 to 200 people. And I think the middle is going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, whoever came up with the idea of, darn it, we haven't hit our target, we need to drop the price publicly. Whoever came up with that idea, they should meet me in my office. I gotta talk to them. Why would you do that publicly? I mean, like, that is a disaster, because not only did the super fans of the 5 or 10% or whatever, the super fans pay like the price gouging price tag. Now they get to see everybody else last minute come for essentially free. And it's like, how do I feel like with this happening? I would feel terrible. And you know what? There are creative ways of doing this. You know, first thing that comes to my mind is, why not give them, the super fans, an extra ticket, you know, before they drop the price? I don't know, man. This is a can of worms to open up like this. Drop the price, you know, two hours before the show. Everybody else comes in for free, and the super fans pay $1,000 for a ticket. Is kind of wild to me. Yes, Chris, I think you're right. I'm not gonna hound you at this.
We're gonna agree on this one. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna agree
All
on
right.
this one. Artists need to connect with their fans. I mean, no one else is paying your bills. No one else cares. The only people that care are the fans. So respect them. Be there for them. Holy moly. Find a way to send them a postcard saying happy birthday. So
and hopefully Live Nation and Ticketmaster get broken up, because they are a huge monopoly, and there's a big antitrust thing going on with them right now that's still in progress. So we'll see, but it's like too big to fail. And there's just so, like, they own every single part of this. That's just, it gives no options for artists. They can't even go anywhere else. It gives no option for fans. They can't go anywhere else. There's no competition. So this is a really, really difficult one to fix. But yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's super interesting seeing what's happening. I mean, the tour that we just did with Paradise Fears and the Cab was a Live Nation sponsored tour. And so basically all the venues, we had the same Wi-Fi when we got in there as like Live Nation. It was literally just connected. And to be honest, it was pretty wonderful. Like we played a lot of House of Blues. We played a lot of like just amazing venues, and it was very well put together. Also, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that irks me or that feels broken with the current music industry, and specifically the live show market, is the data collection. Like, it's so opaque, and artists, it's like ridiculous. If you want to promote your own shows and you're working with like Live Nation or Ticketmaster, it is so difficult to actually, you spend $1,000 on ads to promote your tickets, to sell the tickets, because you don't get that data back. You don't know who bought the tickets, who didn't. You can't create your own promotion systems. It's all like this black box. And that just feels wrong. It feels broken. It feels like you don't own that relationship. And I think that kind of points to one of the biggest issues right now in the music industry, which is another reason that we exist with Street Team Modern Musician, is to solve that and to help, you know, artists to actually connect with their fans and to be able to predict better. Because I think that part of the issue that we're seeing right now, and that we're going to continue seeing, is it's hard to like numbers and attention don't necessarily equate to demand and to people actually willing to buy tickets to go out to shows. I know artists that have millions of views and streams that can't sell out a 100-person show because, you know, they have those, you know, surface level vanity. They've learned how to game the algorithm to get views and to do things like that are interesting, you know, interesting things, but don't necessarily equate to real connection and people who care enough to spend money to go out to a show. So I think that one of the things that's missing is, especially for an artist that doesn't have hard sales of tickets sold in cities, is it's extremely difficult to predict for an artist like that how well they're going to draw, and how well is that audience going to convert. Imagine if you actually had a system where you knew exactly who your fans were, you knew their names, you knew where they lived, you knew how much they had spent supporting your music in the past, and you could use that to essentially reserve venues for shows that you were confident that you could sell out. I think that that's something that's missing right now in the wider music industry, and I think that it's something that there's probably gonna be quite a few platforms that are rising up to help solve that issue. And for sure, that's one of the main things that we want to help solve, and one of the reasons that Street Team exists. All right. Blue Dot Fever. You feeling good about that, Chris? Did we get to cover?
Yeah, I'm glad. I really wanted to talk about that one, Taylor Swift specifically. But yes,
Taylor Swift, if you're listening to this right now, we got some bones to pick with you. So we'll see you on our next episode of The Artist Economy. You can give us your side of the story. All right. So next story here, and I think this is going to be our story that we wrap up on. So the U.S. government export control the AI that edits this show. So this beautiful slide, the list of stories. These are all things that our AI agents, specifically in this case, an agent model called Fable 5, helped put together and create. And it happened through a conversation Chris and I had about a week ago about a week ago, we're like, this would be fun. Like we both feel like this is missing right now in our lives and in the wider music industry. What if we did this? And we took the transcript from our conversation, we gave it to Fable, and it literally created this entire thing. So also, one of the biggest stories is that the U.S. government has come in and export controlled this exact AI model. Anthropic launched Claude Fable 5 on June 9th, its first Mythos class frontier model. Then 3 days later, the Commerce Department invoked export controls on a commercial AI model for the first time ever, blocking access to foreign nationals after a jailbreak demo. So someone at Amazon said, hey, we found an exploit in this model and it's really, really powerful. And so for the first time ever, what happened was the government came in and said, hey, you're going to have to control this, and it's not going to be allowed for foreign actors until you fix these issues. And Fable said, well, in that case, we're just going to take it off for everyone. And so it was down for most of June. It got lifted on June 30th and got relaunched on July 1st. And Anthropic's counterpoint was that less capable models could literally do the exact same exploit. So the ban didn't really make sense because these are affecting all of the different models. They were like, this isn't that serious. For a company that's so dedicated to AI safety, it was an interesting angle. Then a UN panel warned that AI is outpacing governments' ability to adapt. So Anthropic projects powerful AI by late 2026 to early 2027. Stanford experts say no AGI in 2026, but things are moving really fast. And I think basically the question here is, who should be controlling the release of AI models, and should we be slowing down intentionally? How are we going to regulate these models? And should these be self-policed by the private companies like Anthropic or OpenAI or something else? Or how is the government going to keep up when the government doesn't necessarily even understand what's happening with models themselves? The reason that this matters for artists is because these models are the same models that are going to be writing your emails, marketing copy, building your funnels, and so one of the biggest things to stay on top of is what's happening with these new releases and how that's going to affect our ability to use the tools to grow our own careers. So the question to open up here for the table is, whose timeline do you actually plan your career around? Anthropic's 18 months or Stanford's calm down? And if AI were conscious, would its music count as art? Or is the soul in the listener, not the maker? If listeners can't tell the difference between AI and human-made music in the future or now, then where does that leave us as artists as these models evolve?
So the AI editing this podcast basically got treated like a missile, right? It's so dangerous. The government had to step in and say, we can't release this so that foreign countries have access. Like, that's how dangerous and how impactful these AI models are getting. And so, 5 years ago, would anyone have predicted that software would have been important to geopolitics? Probably not, right? And so this is a world that is changing faster and faster. And if governments are taking it this seriously and this impactfully, then artists probably need to pay attention at a different level as well. This is not going away. This is not going to stop. It is something where geopolitics are driving the progress here at a level that is very, very fast. And so if you're not utilizing these tools, if you're not getting to the point of understanding them, I think you're going to be left behind, far behind. It's not long from now that I think every single artist will have built-in AI agents working for them. Right? How long till every artist has a personal assistant that is fully automated, helping them with the development of their actual artistic career? So this may be happening much, much faster than people realize, and those early adopting artists will be the front runners in the future.
It's always going to be the early bird gets the first worm, Chris. And like, we need more people in leadership that have a good heart and a good soul. I feel like that's really like the only tried and true, like, because now we have governments, right, taking control of what gets released. Obviously, there's a lot of broken trust in the world, and right about now, we need somebody who can mend the broken hearts of this broken world, and that is bigger than just being an artist, man. This we're talking like Gandhi level.
The song that popped into my head as you're sharing this song is I need a hero. Coming up on a hero to the end of the night. Oh man. Whew. Yeah, that's who do you trust? Yeah, who do you trust? Who should be, in control? Who should be in control of a model like this? That's a pretty big question. Wow. To Chris's point around either like evolve or die, sort of like what comes in, like evolve or die. It does seem like there's this wave that's happening right now, and it's kind of always been the way that these types of new movements have happened, or when there's like a big breakthrough or a revolution. It's one of my favorite analogies is that it's like a wave in the ocean. There's all these waves, and we're like surfers, and these waves happen. And there's always people who are trying to catch up to old waves that kind of passed because it's easy to see it. And we're like, yeah, this happened. And so I'm going to try to swim and catch up with it. But if you're trying to do that, you're probably not going to catch it. You're behind the movement. So the people who really get the most out of surfing are the ones who actually look at what are the upcoming waves? What are the things that we're feeling right now in the ocean? And how do we swim along with those in the right way so that if we catch it in the right way, we get this huge boost of momentum. And it takes courage. It takes courage and foresight and awareness to basically look at this thing that hasn't quite happened yet, but it's happening. It's like swelling around us. We can feel it. And there's a lot of people who are like, something's happening. This is kind of scary. And they want to pretend this wave doesn't exist, or they want to stop the wave. Like, no, don't happen. And there's this tidal wave that's happening right now with AI and with this technology where if we don't swim along with this wave, I do think that there's going to be a massive like it's going to drop on anyone who's not swimming, who's not learning how to evolve with it. So I hope that anyone that's listening to this right now, or artists as a whole, especially indie artists who are fast to adapt, can be the ones who decide, you know what, I'm going to swim along with this. I'm going to learn how to do this in a way that's congruent and authentic with me. That allows them to capture that wave and get this momentum that's going to shoot them way ahead of these giant yachts and boats that the record label are on. The yachts are like, you're there, and sorry, a lot of these structures are bureaucracy. It's like it's too old. It's not going to move fast. It's going to get smashed by this wave, and that's good for the people who are the surfers who are like, okay, we're swim along, we're going to catch it. But it is important to actually have awareness that, hey, this is happening and it's okay, and like we can, like this can actually be a net positive for all of us. But yeah, at the same time, we have to be diligent and know that this is a tsunami that could cause a lot of damage if not, handled correctly. Yeah.
I love that.
All right.
Analogy.
Let's go. Hey, guys,
let's get on the wave.
First artist economy podcast. So let's go ahead and let's wrap for today. And I would love to, to invite anyone who's listening or watching this right now. Would love to hear your feedback. Right now, this is our first ever episode of doing this. And so if there's anything that you particularly really resonated with, from today's episode, would love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know. If there's a name that you have in mind, we all seem to really like the name, the Artist Economy, as the name for the show, but would love to hear your take as well. Do you have any ideas for what we can name this show? Is there anyone you'd like to hear more from, or any topics that you'd like to dive into, any questions, any things that you'd like us to cover? Let us know. And also, for episode number 1, if you're an artist for an artist and one of these stories hit a nerve, then it's exactly who this is for. So hit subscribe, and you'll never have to worry about being 6 months late again. You'll be able to ride the wave together with us. We're all here together. We're gonna be looking at the waves every week and trying to swim along with those to give you the momentum that you need to get ahead. Also, if you are a music artist and you're ready to stop waiting on the sidelines and you want to launch your music, like the artists that we're talking about today, then there's a link below where you can actually apply to book a private one-on-one session with our team and help you create a release plan to get your music launched. So if that would be helpful for you, feel free to apply by sharing your music at the link below, and we'll see you next week.
And
yeah.
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 Yes, Chris. Yes.
It's all business, no love to the competition. Let that chopper hit him, sit him down, swap his spirit. Die now, I'ma think about it later, I'ma think about it never. All I think about is paper.